everyone! So today we're going to talk about the respiratory tract and how it functions and what it is. So the respiratory tract or respiratory system is the system which includes the lungs and the nose and the mouth and the trachea and more. And it basically takes in the oxygen for our cells. So for all our cells, oxygen is a very important element. And it has to be pumped through the blood so that all our cells can use it. But to get this oxygen, we use the respiratory system. And so, first, let's talk about the parts, and then we'll talk about how it works or how it functions. So, we have two main divisions in the respiratory system: the upper respiratory system and the lower respiratory system. And so, in the upper respiratory system, we have the nose or nasal cavity, mouth or oral cavity. Then we have the pharynx, in which are both the air goes through, and then it goes through the epiglottis, which the epiglottis basically closes and opens for air, and when so it basically prevents food from getting in our trachea. Then we have the larynx, and the larynx also sometimes known as the Adam's apple, and it's basically where the place where we have our sound box, and so this is the place where we can talk, and so when we are talking, we are basically pushing air out, and we're using the strings in this air in the larynx to make these sounds. And then we get to the lower respiratory tract. And so the air, wherever we got through our mouth or nose, is going to go through the epiglottis, which will open, and then we'll go through the larynx. And if you're not talking, it'll just go across, and then it'll get into the trachea. And in the trachea, we have the two lungs. And so the lungs are the right lung and the left lung. So the right lung is this lung, and you might be now saying, "What? This is the left lung." But it's based on this guy's perception. So if you were to take your left and your right, let's say you took your left lung, that would be where your left lung is. But when we look at it from our view, then it looks like the opposite. But so that's how it is. So the right lung has three lobes: the upper lobe, middle lobe, and lower lobe. And the left lung, on the other hand, we have only the lower lobe and the upper lobe. And so the heart sits in the middle between the two lungs. And so let me just delete this. And so we'll see what's inside the lungs. So here we can see the inside of the lung. So when the air goes through the trachea, it will get into the lungs. And so in the lungs, they'll go through the bronchi. So there are three major bronchi. And then it'll get into smaller bronchioles, which will branch more and more like a upside down tree. And then at the end of these branches, we have the alveoli. And so the alveoli is the major part in which the most important exchange or the gas exchange happens. And this is how the reason why we breathe in oxygen but then breathe out carbon. And this is the main part and where the oxygen from which is taken from the lungs gets in and gets into the bloodstream. So now let's talk about how the respiratory system works. So as we said, the air is going to go through the nose, through the pharynx, and into the laryngitis, and then it'll go through the trachea, and then it'll go into the two lungs. So let's just say it goes into the right lung or the left lung. So it can go to both of the lungs. And so since we have this image here, then we're just going to pick the left lung. And so it's going to go into these alveoli. And so I have a bigger up picture of the alveoli here. So as you can see here, the alveoli look kind of like a grape sack. And so each of these grapes in this grape sack you could think of take in some of the oxygen. And so you can see these blood veins. Well, these blood veins are from the circulatory system. So the circulatory gets the pulmonary artery, and the pulmonary artery gets in blood and takes that to the heart, so then the heart can pump it around the whole system. And so this is where the major gas exchange happens, because the pulmonary artery is full of blood that's already has been used up and has a lot of waste. And so the the lung's job is to take out the carbon waste from it, and then it, because it just now took in oxygen, it wants to put that good oxygen into the blood. So basically the alveoli will give the blood oxygen, and then the blood will give the alveoli sac, or this alveoli grape you could think of, carbon. So this blood will give carbon or waste. And so the alveoli will take this waste and it'll get out all through the bronchioli into the trachea and out through your nose. So this is one of the real reasons why you breathe in oxygen and then breathe out carbon. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye.